What's up, guys and gals? It's the Tyrant here, and welcome back to my weekly Q&A sessions where you guys ask the questions and I give you the answers. I know what you're probably thinking. Tyrant, the game you're playing right now isn't Halo. Yep, it is not. But if you've seen the title to this video, then you'll have an understanding by the end of it why I've chosen to play this game instead this week. I do want to give a fair heads up. I've got a sprained wrist, so I'm keeping this one a little bit short. Long story short, most of you know that, I've got some several injuries from motorcycle accidents that have left me crippled. My leg, my right eye, and also my hand, which for those of you who've seen my reviews know that I wear a glove over my right hand. It's very fragile and it's pretty messed up, and it's never healed properly, and so that's what got sprained when I tried to lift something that was too heavy for that hand. So yay me. But anyway, getting back to it. So yeah, there is a full purpose to this to the background content right here, which I'll get to by the end of the video. But I do want to give some big shout outs this week. First of all, my biggest contributor, Chris, on my Patreon page, increased his donation even further. He was already a Mythic donor, and so I don't even know what to call this. Epic. It's got to be epic. Thank you so much, Chris. I mean, you're doing so much good for my site, and thank you, my friend. We also had another upgrade this week. A longtime Mythic community member, Olden Aki, also upped his pledge. He was a heroic member. Now he is a legendary member. And thank you so much, my friend. I'm glad that you're helping me keep this site alive. You and I have known each other for a long time, and thank you for being there while I'm also making my Mythic guide. It's awesome seeing you complete your Mythic quest while I'm completing mine, and also making a guide for it. So thank you very much. We also have a brand new patron this week. Give a big shout out to Christine, who has become our newest legendary patron member. Thank you so much for your generosity, Christine. I very much appreciate it. For anyone else who'd like to become a patron, please have a look at my Patreon site. Your generosity is very much appreciated. It'll help keep this site going throughout 2018 and beyond. So thank you very much. Check out the page. You might see some rewards that you like and you'd like to take advantage of. So, it'd be an honor to have you there, and thank you again for just even considering it. So let's go ahead and jump right into this week's Q&A. Our first question comes from my top donor, Chris Wood, and Chris asks, okay, MT, what improvements are you looking forward to the most in the Master Chief Collection? So for those of you who aren't aware, in the springtime, they're planning on doing some major updates for the Master Chief Collection, and there's a little article on it from Games Radar, and it gives you some details. And to be honest with you, I think what I'm looking forward to the most is being able to find a match faster. I think that's mainly the main thing I think that's what I think I would benefit from the most. I mean, there's also, they mentioned that they're going to be scaling up for people who have like Xbox One and high def TVs, so you'll get better graphics, but I don't have an Xbox One or a 4K TV. So if I did, that would probably be my favorite thing. But for multiplayer aspects, I would say definitely being able to find matches faster. I like the fact that they're implementing a new system for it, and I hope that the population of the Master Chief Collection will increase so that people can actually take advantage of that new system. So great question, Chris, and I really appreciate you stopping by, my friend. Our next question comes from Crimson Wolf. Halo Q&A. Do you think dual wielding is compatible with advanced movement systems like in Halo 5? Absolutely. I don't really see why not. I mean, it's basically just holding two guns. I'd love to see dual wielding return personally, and I think that if the community wants it and 343 has the will to do it, that it could be done very well. So, I'm still keeping my fingers crossed that we'll see dual wielding return at some point in time, but until then, yeah, I think it's absolutely possible. So great question, Crimson. Thank you. Our next question comes from Chief Burner, and Chief Burner asks, Mythic Tyrant Q&A, what is your favorite Spartan armor in all of Halo? Mine has been the classic Mark 6, just like the Master Chiefs in Halo 2 and 3. Good choice, my friend. My personal favorite's always been the ODST armor. Dating all the way back to Halo 3, I always loved having the ODST helmet. And even once I got Recon armor, after doing the first Halo 3 Mythic walkthrough, I still wore an ODST helmet. I love the Recon chest piece and the shoulder pads, but I still preferred the ODST helmet. And even though I don't know if ODST is in Halo 5, but usually I have the default helmet, the recruit armor, which kind of looks like ODST. So, yep, hands down ODST armor. So great question, Chief, and thanks, and good choice on your armor, by the way. Our next question comes from Gaming Brossel. And Gaming asks, Tyrant, I have a question for you. When do you think Halo 6 would come out, or is it even coming out? Hopeful, aren't we? So, there's been some mixed signals here. I continue to say that I don't think it's going to come out until next year at some point. It could be early next year. It may not be the fall like we usually see in terms of Halo AAA releases. But, even with Halo Wars 2, we saw that come out in February of last year. And so we could see an early, either a late winter or early spring release for Halo 6. It's possible, at least if they did that, they wouldn't have any major competition like you usually do at the at tail end of a year. But at the same time, I've heard a couple of my colleagues say that they're pretty sure that it's coming out at the end of this year. And they base that off of Microsoft getting some negative PR because, they'll announce a game really far in advance. In fact, Halo 5 was announced way too far in advance to the point now where people are speculating that it was a trailer for Halo 6, which I doubt that too, seriously. But at this point, I get the mentality behind that, but at the same time, Halo's always sort of benefited from having an extended marketing campaign. If they showcase it at E3 this year, I find it very hard to believe it would only be a few months away from release because, you're talking about what about doing a beta, for the game to test it and make sure that it's something that, Halo fans are going to love and enjoy, and they're not going to criticize as harshly as the current game. So I get the PR sense of it, but it just doesn't, even if it's a risky thing for Microsoft to do, I honestly believe that they probably are going to release Halo. They're going to, tease it this year, I believe. I don't know that for sure, but I think it'd be kind of hard to believe that they wouldn't at least have some AAA information, AAA information so far after the previous game's release, because Halo 5 was released in 2015. It's already 2018, and we have no news on the next Halo game, which is that's a pretty big drought. Even my colleagues are saying right now that we're suffering kind of a major drought in terms of Halo knowledge. There's just nothing out there. Halo 5 has more or less run its course. Halo Wars 2, in my opinion, has. I loved Halo Wars 2. I love the expansions that came with it, but, it's 2018. And so it's getting harder to produce Halo content because there's really nothing to tell. Especially someone like me who writes guides primarily. I've already done everything I can. I'm currently working on the Halo 5 Mythic walkthrough, but once that's done, I really don't have much left. So hopefully they'll give us something at some point in time so we can get those speculation storms back up and hopefully release some really cool updated Halo content. So I hope that answers your question, and thank you so much. I certainly do appreciate it, Gaming. Our next question comes from Quantum Easy. Still love that name. And Quantum asks, Q&A Tyrant, if you could join 343 as the writer for the Halo campaigns, would you? On the record, abso-freaking-lutely. I would love that opportunity. 343, you listening? No, I think that I would definitely help out. I feel like, in part, I would be more effective in helping design campaign gameplay, simply because that's what I'm best at doing. But I'd love to have a hand in, getting the story down. I've been a writer since I was 7 years old. And, I've written books and so forth. I've already mentioned on the site before that I'm in the midst of getting one of those books published. And so if they could, if they thought, what, we need to bring a Tyrant to help iron the story out for Halo 6, I would be delighted and I would take that job in an instant. So great question, Quantum Easy. I certainly appreciate it. And who knows, maybe 343 is listening right now. Our next question comes from H2 Halo. Man after my own heart, I see. And H2 Halo asks, Q&A Tyrant, what do you think of the campaign DLC for Halo 5? He says a campaign DLC for Halo 5. Okay. Maybe. I don't think that's a terrible idea. Especially if Halo 6 is going to be pretty far off. The problem is that we've already had 3 cliffhanger endings. Well, 2.5. We've had Halo 5 Guardians cliffhanger. We had Halo Wars 2. That ending was a cliffhanger. And Awakening of the Nightmare kind of was, but kind of not at the same time. And also that's technically a part of Halo Wars 2. I don't think that it would be a great idea to have yet another cliffhanger ending, turning Halo effectively into a soap opera prior to Halo 6's release. I'd rather than put all of their focus on Halo 6. Now, if they decided that Halo 6 wasn't going to be a thing and they were just going to keep adding to the current storyline, I could see it. You know, going the Half-Life 2 route instead of, releasing Half-Life 3, they released episodes. Of course, Valve couldn't count to 3 if their lives depended on it. But yeah, I mean, I guess that could be a possibility, but I don't think they would go that route. So, I wouldn't disapprove. I just wouldn't want it to take anything away from Halo 6. So I hope that answers your question, H2 Halo. Thanks for stopping by, my friend. Very intriguing topic for sure. Our next question comes from Paluk Adventures. And Paluk asks, Q&A, do you think different forms of media have impacted the Halo franchise? And if so, can you identify some examples? Films, books, news pieces, other games, etc. Have they brought negative effects with them? So I'm not sure if he's speaking directly in terms of like external lore for Halo, or if he's talking about other games. I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest with you. In terms of having external lore, there's nothing wrong with that. And I've said this in all of my Everything Wrong with Halo videos, and even in my reviews, I've had to bring this up too, because people will criticize me because the plots to certain plot points don't make sense in the current timeline, simply because they rely so much on external media. And the thing of it is, I'm going to keep saying it even if people don't agree with it. Halo is first and foremost a video game franchise, period. All that other stuff, all the books, the films, the comics, whatnot, all the bits and pieces you get from the loot crates, that sort of thing, that's all external lore, and that's how it should be. If you want to connect it with the main storyline, that's fine, but the main storyline shouldn't lean so heavily on that concept, because not every person who buys a Halo game is going to buy all that other stuff. Keep in mind, those books aren't free. You have to pay for them, and they're, I won't say they're expensive, but they're not super cheap either. It's not like going, on Kindle and paying 99 cents for it or anything like that. No, they're pricey. So, not everyone has that kind of money or time. Books take a while to read. Video games can be conquered in a matter of days. And of course there are some people out there who can read extremely fast, and good for them. I'm certainly not one of them. But it's just that's a lot of investment that you're putting into just a video game, and I don't think most people want that. Even Bungie didn't want that. When Halo Reach came out, and it sort of retconned the fall of Reach a little bit, the producer of the game came back and said, well, I mean, the game lore comes first. If it contradicts what's in the books, it contradicts what's in the books. The books aren't meant to be taken seriously, and the books aren't technically canon. The thing of it is, I wish he hadn't said that, because at that point in time, I'd already read The Fall of Reach, The Flood, First Strike, and I started reading Ghost of Onyx at one point and then stopped when Halo 3 came out. But I always enjoyed the fact that it was an external part of the series, and I felt like those books were there for the true fans. If they wanted an extended look into Halo's lore, they could have it. But if you just wanted to play the games, it wouldn't take anything away from that either, and that's the way I think it should be. In that sense, yes, I think the books nowadays have hurt it because 343 relies so heavily on the external lore to tell a story. As far as other game platforms go, I don't think it's anyone's fault in that regard. It's just as games progress, Halo was once thought as a pioneer. Other people have taken that formula and adapted it and enhanced it and have done more creative things with it. So in that way, yes, I think other games have brought Halo down a couple of notches in the gameplay sense. But at the same time, if you're a pure Halo fan, it's not going to matter what other games do. So that's my take on that. But a very intriguing question, Palok, and thank you so much. Our next question comes from our very own CFunk99. And CFunk asks, so Frank O'Connor recently made a comment that Halo 6 will have microtransactions. Do you think that this is not okay for gaming? And then if we can save do you think that this is not okay for gaming? Then can we save the future of gaming from this money-grabbing crisis? Okay, so I think what he's saying here, I had to read that a couple of times. I think what he's asking is, if we make it our voices heard that this is not okay for gaming, will they continue to add microtransactions in the future? I think EA sort of spelled that out for us, where there was this massive uprising on Reddit. And so, at least for the initial release, they took microtransactions out of Battlefront 2, even though the game was built on them. But now apparently they're adding them back in. Thing of it is, as long as people keep buying the games, they're going to do whatever they want. The only way that they're going to listen is if no one buys Halo 6. And let's face it, people are going to buy Halo 6, microtransactions or not. I'm going to buy Halo 6. Even if the channel's still not up and running, I'm still going to buy Halo 6 because I love Halo. And even if the game sucks, it's still one that I want to see, and it's a fight that I want to see through. So the only way that's going to fully work out is if there's an active rebellion among the Halo community not to purchase a game simply because of microtransactions. If Microsoft takes a massive hit from it, they might consider it for the future, but I think because microtransactions have made such a strong impact within the gaming community, whether you like them or not, they're going to at least keep them for now. Again, remember, Halo 5 didn't do it as bad as some of the other ones out there, like Battlefront 2, or at least the way Battlefront 2 was perceived to have them, and Call of Duty World War II. I'm not saying what they did was the best thing to do, but it was better than what we've seen so far. So I hope that answers your question. Basically, it would take a massive effort from the Halo community, not just the ones you see in the forums, not just the ones you see commenting on the videos, but the folks buying the games in general. So great question, C-Funk. You always ask really good ones, my friend. And our final question of the week, our star question, comes from Hollis Kadirli III. And yes, this is what the reason for this background gameplay is, Jurassic World, the game. And and Hollis asked, Q&A, the government in Washington State is now following Hawaii's steps and having asked the Gaming Commission to examine loot crates in games to consider if it is gambling or not, according to state law. How will this affect games like Halo that have loot crates in their games? Well, first you have to consider the outcome, and there's a couple of things that I really want to bring up here, and this is why I'm playing this game in the background. There's two ways to look at it. First of all, there's microtransactions, and then there's loot crates. When I say loot crates, I'm talking about like rec packs in Halo, or the crates that you get in Call of Duty or Battlefront 2. And they are separate things, but they can be one. For example, in Halo, do you have to buy rec packs to achieve them or to gain them? The answer is no, you don't. You can, though, if you choose to. And the same goes for Call of Duty and Battlefront. You don't have to buy them, but the option's there if you choose to have them. Microtransactions are basically you paying extra content outside of what you purchased for the game. So, if you buy a game for $60, microtransactions are what you pay to get what you want afterwards. And microtransactions have an interesting history, and I could be 100% wrong on this, and if I am, let me know in the comments below. But I'm pretty sure that what this trend that we're seeing now with these AAA titles stems from online casinos that started years and years and years ago, where these online sites would have online casinos and you could place bets for real money. And then eventually mobile gaming became more mainstream, and what did we see there? We saw microtransactions. We saw a lot of pay-to-win type games. I think Game of War, that's what it's called, Game of War Fire Age is what it's called, and that's probably one of the worst offenders for pay-to-win that I've ever seen out there by far. But then there's other games out there like The Simpsons Tapped Out, where they have a premium currency. It's in the form of donuts, but it's not RNG based either, like we're seeing with loot crates. Basically, if you see a premium character that you want, yes, you have to pay premium currency for it. You might have to shell out real money to get enough donuts to buy that character, but at least you know what you're getting. And in the case of The Simpsons in particular, it's not pay to win. It's just extra, content for your game, and that's all there is to it. And then there's the loot crate system, and the loot crate system itself is RNG, and that's where I think a lot of this is starting to come into play, because in RNG you don't know what you're getting. When you open these boxes, it could be anything, and so when you're not paying for it, that's one thing. When I racked up all those rec points and rec packs without even knowing that they were there, and then I spent weeks worth of Q&As opening them up at the start of each video. I thought it was kind of cool that I was getting all these free things that I could then turn around and use in game, and it was always fun opening them up because I never knew when I was going to get something that I really wanted. My favorite vehicle of all time in Halo 5 is the Hannibal Mantis. And so whenever one of those just happens to pop up in a loot crate, I'm so happy and excited because I love being able to use that. I still have one in reserve right now that I haven't touched because I want to save it for a special occasion, and they're so hard to get. So in that sense, I don't mind them as long as they're not an integral part of the game. And fortunately, Warzone and Warzone Firefight, it's only one portion of it. Whether or not it's something that affects you personally is on you. Personally, I don't mind having rec packs for that specific game type. The problem starts to come in when you have to pay for it and you don't know what you're paying for. I'm going to show you, on here what I'm talking about. So I'm playing Jurassic World, the game right now, and of all the loot box, quote unquote, in this case card packs, same damn thing. Mobile games, in terms of loot box mobile games, paying for stuff. Jurassic World, the game, is probably the biggest offender I've ever seen in that regard. And what do I mean by that? So the whole game revolves around the concept of card packs. And you can earn them in game, you can get them automatically, or you can pay for them depending on what way you want to go. So as I showed you at the beginning of the video, essentially you get card packs throughout the day. Every 6 hours you can claim a different card pack. And on top of that, if you finish your dailies, you get a card pack with that too. Meaning without spending any money at all, and without going into PvP or anything, just by simply tooling around in your park, you can get up to 5 packs a day. Now, in these packs, you don't know what you're getting. You could be getting DNA for building dinosaurs. You could be getting dino coins, dino bucks. You could be getting food, whatever. Or you can be getting a new dinosaur. Or you could be getting an old dinosaur. You don't know. That's part of the thing right there. And part of me doesn't mind it in a sense because there's always a dinosaur out there that I'm looking for. I've got at least 2 left on my list that I want that I don't have. And so in the past, whenever I've been looking for a particular dinosaur and it just happens to appear in one of these random card packs, I'm overjoyed, I'm really excited, and it's great. Problem is, the odds of that happening with a pack that you're opening just throughout the course of the day are slim to none. It can happen, but it's not guaranteed. But they take it a step further than that. So if you saw earlier in the video over the lagoon, there is a raffle that you can enter. And essentially there's 4 categories that you can enter. You can buy tickets for each category. And the tickets cost different things. Sometimes it costs loyalty points. Sometimes it costs dino bucks. Sometimes it costs dino coins. Sometimes it costs real money. And you can usually buy anywhere from 10 to 20 tickets depending on what is in the raffle that particular day. And you have a 1% chance of getting the grand prize. So if you're someone who's spending $5 per ticket and you're buying 10 tickets, you've just spent, $50, and you may not get what you want because of the RNG. The same applies to when you buy card packs in this game, okay? When you buy card packs, and you can if you choose, the most expensive RNG card pack that you can buy is $50. And for the sake of time, I'm just going to say that the gold pack is the highest you can get. With a gold pack, you are guaranteed to get a legendary dinosaur, which is the strongest dinosaur that you can get in the game that isn't a hybrid, right? And that sounds all well and good. But what if you open that pack and you get a dinosaur that you already have? Maybe the dinosaur you have is already max leveled. You've already got the hybrid that's associated with it. So there's no point in having that dinosaur there. You just spent $50 for jack shit. You'll get some nice VIP points out of it, or nice loyalty points out of it, but did you get $50 worth out of it? I mean, it's digital stuff, so I mean, I think personally, if you're buying, $50 worth of digital content for one game, not even a game itself, just one game, you're wasting your money. But that's RNG, and it's questionable. Now, on the flip side, Jurassic World is free to play. When you're going to these AAA titles, they're not free to play. They're usually about $60. If you're getting a major title for one of the major consoles, or even for PC, they're usually about $60. And so now when you get these loot boxes and these microtransactions associated with them that become an integral part of the game, now you've got a problem. Because you've already paid for the game, that should be all that you need to worry about. But now you have to worry about these, people who have a lot of money on their hands, a lot of, money they can piss away. And so what they do is they'll buy, hundreds of these, top-notch loot crates or rec packs or whatever you want to call them, and they automatically have an immediate advantage. Now, granted, in Warzone Firefight specifically, you have levels that you have to gain before you can unlock certain things, but still, you get certain, advantages. And that puts players at a disadvantage. I've heard on the flip side that, armor that you can get from these loot crates doesn't affect your gameplay, but at the same time, there are people who want to be able to achieve armor in similar ways that we did in Halo Reach, where you were able to gain credits as you played the game, and so the more you played the game, you could be rewarded by unlocking your favorite set of armor. I think here's the bottom line. First of all, what could happen is the first question. They'd have to rehaul everything. And when I say everything, if it was ruled as gambling, all AAA titles would have to be rehauled, all mobile apps would have to be overhauled, and that would be detrimental to businesses all over the country. I'm not saying whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. What I'm saying is that's something they have to take into account. It's a system that's been in place for many, many years at this point. It just started getting into AAA gaming titles within the last maybe couple of years or so. But you have to think of, okay, who else does this apply to? I think the best system to even alleviate the whole gambling thing is this. Quite simply put, if they want to put RNG loot boxes or rec packs in a game, fine. Whether or not you like those, that's your own personal opinion. I don't mind them as long as they don't interfere too much with the game itself. Having said that, I don't think that it should be optional for you to buy them, because that's grossly unfair, not just to the people who don't have any money, but for the people who go on there and they see a set of armor that they want, but they may never be able to get it because they have to spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on these rec packs in hopes that they might finally get the armor that they want. I think they should go back to the Reach standard, where you earn credits in game so that you can get the armor that you want by spending those credits, or you could even have them unlockable by achievements. That's certainly another option. In terms of rec packs that are in the games themselves, I'll make it simple. Do it like I do when I play Warzone Firefight. Basically, the better I do in a game, the better chances I have at getting some really good rec packs and getting more rec points so I can buy even more rec packs. So that there's no spending. There's no gambling there because I don't have to spend real world money to get it. In those cases, I'm fine with the rec packs being in there, but they should not be made purchasable. The games themselves are already at least $60, and this is excluding the legendary editions, the special editions that are costing $80, $100, $120. You're already making the money. You don't need to keep squeezing it out of people, and especially when it comes to children. That I'm really against, because you're talking about young, impressionable minds. Sometimes they don't know any better, and I don't want to see young people developing those kind of habits. People do have problems with addiction. Some people really do, and this is exploiting that problem, and it's wrong. My thing is, once again, when it comes to microtransactions, leave them in the mobile games. I don't mind it because at least those games are free. At the same time, I don't mind loot boxes and rec packs being in the main game if they are free, if you can earn them in-game. I think that's the best way to do it. If people want to keep having that system in-game, that's the way that you can do it without exploiting people's weaknesses. And that's what I hope they do going forward. If they don't do that, yeah, we could see a major overhaul in the gaming community, not just for AAA titles, but also for mobile games. And that could hurt a lot of people, and it may also help a lot of people. So I don't know how that would turn out, but I want you guys to tell me what you think about microtransactions, about loot boxes and crates. What do you think is a good solution? Do you like my solution of having loot boxes and crates that you can earn in game, but ones that you can't buy? And then when it comes to armor and stuff, being able to obtain that armor via achievements or via getting credits, and maybe having some premium ones out there, but at least no RNG. If you're going to buy something in a game, at the very least, take the RNG out of it so folks know what they're buying. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below, or you can hit me up on Twitter at MythicTyrant. A link to my Twitter feed can be found in the description below, and I want to take the time to thank each and every one of you. I mean, I get a little flattered just seeing all the amazing folks who watch these videos. Thank you for taking the valuable time out of your day to stop by. I love these Q&As so much. I have such a great audience. You are a great audience to have, and thank you so much for being here today. I hope every one of you has a fantastic, wonderful weekend. I will catch you all right back here next time. And as always, I'm the Tyrant, signing off.